Hi friends, welcome back to another video / episode of the James Red Podcast. I am here with a good friend that I met in New York City. Her name is, we'll refer to her as Kelsey Leigh, and that she is on Instagram, YouTube, and so she's a YouTube creator and a bike messenger in New York City, and she shares long-form vlogs of her days running around the city, running into friends, carrying on ridiculous jokes, which I find quite entertaining, going on rants about things she notices about the world around her. And she's also studied acting, and we will get to that for sure, because I think that's a very interesting part of her. But her videos are very personality driven. And I want to talk about her rather unique lifestyle and how she creates on a daily basis amidst all of that. I will link below to her things. She's a very interesting creator. But hey, Kelsey, how's it going?
Hi. It's going well. It's going really well. I was just thinking, I do rant a lot, don't I? I do rant. So don't let me rant.
No. That's I want this conversation to be a lot of ranting.
Okay.
This is your time to rant.
Cool. Freeform rant.
Freeform rant. How's your day been?
Hot. It's hot. Like so hot. Well, the past week has just been hot, but it's good. It's good.
Good. You're in New York City, so you get very humid hot as well.
Muggy and just like heavy, can't breathe.
Yeah, I just got back from South Carolina where I grew up, and I don't know if it's more humid there. It probably is, but it's definitely very hot, and I had not sweated so much in a very long time here, living here in Utah. I did sweat today, though. I went out on my board, and I worked up a little sweat, and I was like, oh, I can still do it. It's great. So, let's see. So I want to talk a little bit. Oh, by the way, where can people find you if they want to?
Oh, on YouTube with my channel, Kelsey Leigh, and on Instagram. My Instagram is Kelso Paradiso, which is just a play on Cinema Paradiso, you know, the film, which we were just talking about films earlier, is one of my favorites. And Twitter. I probably spend way too much time on Twitter, actually, because I don't use Facebook. So those are the three that I use. And yeah, I just really get sucked into Twitter a lot. So it's like easy to catch me on there. Yeah, everyone has something so interesting to say on Twitter. So I spend a lot of time on there. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. And like I said, I'll link below to your things. But I'm curious, how would you describe your creative pursuits on a daily basis?
On a daily basis, I just want to sort of like imbue the things that I do with what I'm passionate about and what I love. And I want to find a way for all of the things that I do to like represent the different facets of what I'm after. So I can't ride a bike without a sense of like art, you know, and I can't go after something artistic without being influenced by like the sense of riding a bike, if that makes sense, the freedom, the movement, the style, you know. So
you're just inspired by the act of riding your bike.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that it brings. Like, everyone should ride a bike at least once in their lives, you know, just to really get that, like, the way that something mechanical can like give a person just like autonomy and movement, and it just like compounding movement. Yeah, it's just beautiful.
And so, and I do want to get more into talking about your love for bikes and being a bike messenger and all of this more so. But first off, I wanted to sort of dig into your YouTube channel a little bit and how you bring those things together. And your vlogs are quite interesting. I do want to go on a quick side note, though. This is completely random, but just in case. So I got a nosebleed earlier. And I never get nosebleeds, but if all of a sudden you see blood running down my nose, that's what it is. It's probably okay. But if I pass out, call 911.
Okay, or maybe call Christy.
Oh, that's well, it depends on how bad it is, what my body's doing. Just
Okay.
we'll play it by ear anyway.
Or by nose. Play it by nose.
Play it by nose, yes. So one of the things I think the shining.
Wait, did you fall off your board and you got a nosebleed, or was it one?
No. I think I scratched my nose.
Oh, okay.
I guess I should have explained that.
Yeah, I was like, where did it come from?
My kidneys are exploding, so that's what's going on. So yes, YouTube channel. What you do is interesting because your videos are sort of, you let them intentionally, I think intentionally, be longer and have a flowing quality to them. And I think they're the shining part of your videos is your personality. I think a lot of people who create vlog type videos, they have a personality, but they lean more on editing. Your videos lean on your personality. It's literally the most interesting part about what you create. And I would describe your personality as a very pleasant personality, and it's contagious, which you hear a lot, but it's like when I watch your videos, there are things about you that I'm like, oh, I want to have a little bit more of that in my life. So take that how you may. But you're positive, but you're not like positive in the way that a lot of people are positive, where when you look into their eyes, you're like, is something wrong? Like, some people are just overly positive to mask emotional instability in their life. Yeah. But I think along with positivity, you have to have a groundedness to you. And I think you have that. Well,
that's actually something I got into a lot in acting school. Like the concept of positivity, not as it's something that's like two-sided. And it does, like, positivity doesn't necessarily mean like happy as opposed to sad, or like cheerful as opposed to, it just means like a positive just means something moving forward. So you can still be like positive in the face of like frustration, or positive in the face of sadness, or it's about being objective and about your frame of mind and your attitude, as opposed to just like everything is sunshine and rainbows. So.
Yeah, it's like, I would describe it as an attitude towards adversity. You have to adopt.
Yeah. Fighting for something.
Yeah. So you've gotten some of this from acting and studying that, but where do you think you get your pleasantness from, and how have you worked to develop that over time?
Well, I am Canadian. I mean,
there is that.
People usually attribute it to that. I think I was raised like in nature, in the woods. I spent a lot of time around animals. I just grew up being like a really patient person, I think, and which has served me well in some ways in life, but also awfully in some ways in life, as it goes. But yeah, I have like a very wonderful set of parents, and I don't know. I think I just always, like, ever since I was young, I never really fit in terms of like, excuse me, the little cliques and things at school. I was just sort of the floater, like got along with everybody and had so many different interests. And I think that it was sort of like, I always knew like, okay, I'm going to have to have a positive attitude, like, in my life. I think just being very young, I just knew that, like, things might be difficult, or I might always not feel like I fit in, or I might feel different. But because of that, I'm going to always have to approach things with like, just a easygoing attitude.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Do you try to insert that into your videos a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. But I want people to watch something that's like uplifting and might make them think or might entertain them, or but at least coming away like you should watch a vlog feeling like you're hanging out with a friend, you know? So that's kind
Absolutely.
of something I like to get across. And just, I don't know, I guess I always have been a bit of a caretaker. So I always want people, if I'm in someone's company, I want them to feel good. Like I want them to feel like in good spirits. So I try to be the one that brings that about, even if it's not there.
Yes, I think you have a sort of a more traditional take on vlogging, which I enjoy. It's a
Yeah.
very good thing, which is like nowadays what vlogging has slowly morphed into is these insane edits and like transitions, crazy stuff happening, people putting motion graphics in, and yours is just sort of it feels like a journal of your day.
Yeah. Well, that's what I always want it to be because that's what a vlog is, you know? And I think it gets to a point, like the point of watching a vlog is to watch just like a normal old person live their life. Like that's
Particularly an old person,
yeah.
elderly. Those are all of that's what fills
I
my
I would
subscription.
like to watch those vlogs actually. Are there any like old vloggers? I don't
I'm
know.
sure there are.
Anyway, yeah, there
There's
must
so they must have so much wisdom to share.
yeah. I feel like there's a lot of old like vegans.
All right, here's the deal. We need to keep our message thread going on Instagram, and when you find an elderly vlogger that I need to see, you let me know,
Okay.
and vice versa.
Right.
Okay, great.
But yeah, so I always wanted it to be that way because I think so a lot of people start off that way, but then they sort of develop to like where their life becomes the vlog, and then the things you're watching in the vlog are directly impacted by the vlog and exist because of the vlog, and then it's just this sort of like this like I don't know, spinning vortex of vlogginess, and you're not seeing as much just like the everyday realities of life, which is why you watch someone else. Like it's why you study other people. It's why you like just to get a sense of what makes them tick and why watching them make certain decisions as opposed to this decision, and like that's where it came from. And I also it's really important for me to like I went to acting school. I want to be a director. I want to do films. Like I want to create a lot of like quality content, but I like to hone those skills for that as opposed like I wouldn't want to make a film someday and have it look like a vlog because or like feel like a vlog. Because I spent so much time like editing for vlogs and like editing crazy stuff for a vlog style edit so that when it came to actually work on something like narrative, it just is edited like a vlog.
Okay, so you want it to be edited like a
I
vlog.
want it to be
Awesome.
like I want it to be separate. Like I want it to be like I want my editing skills to be like narrative based, and cinematic based, but not, but I guess, but some people are really good at having the two mix. And then when they do their own content, their own feature content, they have their own style. It's just personally, I just like the stripped down kind of feel.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I always try to keep my edits as only as complex as they need to be because
Yeah.
I think that you see a lot of gimmicky things that don't age well happening in vlogs right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's from an editing. I mean, and I've been editing. Like I would say, if I'm an expert at anything, it's like I guess playing the drums and editing videos and maybe taking photos, I guess too. But there are like a couple of things I'm good at, and the rest of the things I'm horrible at. But I have observed is that the stuff that feels like it stands the test of time and is truly the most interesting stuff is the stuff that is edited pretty simply. There are tricks that are used if they need to be used, but
Right.
it just feels nice and it's flowing and there's not too much energy for the sake of energy going on. It all has a purpose.
Right. Whatever serves, whatever story you're trying to tell, it's like the best choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to shift from editing to when you're actually filming these things, because one of the things I admire about you is your ability to, at least seemingly, turn on a camera and just talk and connect ideas together in a way that feels flowing and authentic. And I don't know if, I'm curious if you feel that way when you're filming it.
I do. I think I've always needed like an outlet for my thoughts. So I used to journal like crazy. And so it's kind of just like a rambling journal, like oral journal, really. I really just focus on what I want to get across. And sometimes I focus like on it too much, because then all of a sudden I have 10 minutes of me talking and rambling. But if you're passionate about wanting to convey something, you really don't have to work hard at it. You just talk.
You seem like you allow yourself to let it flow. And I think that, as I say this, I think for some people it's a very simple thing. So they may hear this and go, well, of course, you're just talking. But for people who will overthink it, that can be a very foreign concept, this idea of just turning on the camera and talking and being able to articulate your words the way that you want them in a way that's conversational. There are two different sets of people in that world, and I go into both sides. I can very easily go into both sides. I lean more towards overthinking what I'm saying. So that's why I admire your ability to have these longer uncut clips of you sharing an idea in a way that just feels, like you said, like you're talking to a friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it also comes from acting school as well. I think like you get a certain, like a good grasp on how you're coming across, and like a lot of acting school, especially with film teachers, like because you come from the stage where everything is like pretty, like there's like a gravitas to it, and then you get into film, you really have to like, so the direction is usually like just talk, just talk, instead of like hello, how are you today,
right.
Which is like, it's easy to do that and not realize you're doing it. So.
Did you do performances on stage and this sort of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you feel like going from the stage to here is sort of like a step into more comfort, or is that completely different, or how does that play out for you?
Definitely. I think more comfort. Well, there's also like the concept of like permanence. So it's like, okay, what I'm recording is going to be the thing, and that's the thing I'm going to use, and that's going to be on the internet, and that's, like a lot of times I'll put a video and never want to see it again. Like, because it's like that specific time, because you do a theater performance, it's just for that audience, those specific people, and that specific moment in time, and it's just exists in their minds ever after, and that's it. But
but people would get hung up on the fact that they're talking to 500 people in person.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of just have to forget.
So this is a thing that I think is really interesting about people who do things on stage, and I think I love this part of the art form, and I think that anybody can be served. No matter what you do, anybody can be served to do some sort of public speaking, acting. Go sign up for a play at your local college or whatever. Go do something on stage in front of people, because you learn what it's like to not have a safety net and to improvise when things go sideways. And that is a wonderful tool to have as a person.
Seriously. Just problem solving in general for anything in your life. Like anything, if you have goals, that means you will encounter problems, and knowing how to navigate them is like a crucial skill, because I feel like even it's kind of a measure throughout your life of like, okay, how good are my problem solving skills, even emotionally, as you navigate relationships, or like just creatively, physically. It's like, it comes down to everything. It's like very, very basic. And you have to, again, it just comes back to your attitude. Like I just did my first little short film, and oh man, like, I mean, I knew that this happens going into it, but just like problems come up, things come up, trying to get the shot, you can't get the shot. Like you have to figure out on the spot, what are you going to do? And because you have to figure it out, you can't just give up. Like the option, like the giving up is never there, you know, although it is a little more lax, like, okay, when you're on stage and things go wrong, you just got to figure it out. You got to make it work. But sometimes, like in a vlog, there are no rules, you know, like whatever works is whatever works. So there's vloggers definitely, there's a lot of tricks, like a lot of, it's funny, like when you get to know someone and then, you know, like say you spend a day with them and then you see the vlog after, or they tell you about how that day went based on how the vlog looks. And there's so many different ways to, you know, mask and conceal and switch around and based on, because it doesn't really matter. It's like, oh, I didn't get the shot, or that part didn't work out, but it doesn't matter because I'm filming a vlog, so I'll just go film something else, or like I'll just switch directions, or so it does give you a lot of creative freedom and a lot of like ease, but you know, just depends on
what you get from shooting a vlog is you have a freedom to sort of play in a landscape of like endless creation. And where on stage you are sort of, you're there, it's happening, and you have to figure it out.
Exactly.
And one of
it's like a puzzle. It's like you have your puzzle, you can only use those puzzle pieces that you have. Like you can only, it has to be that puzzle. But like when you're doing a vlog or whatever, it's like you just have like a million different paint cans and you can just throw them onto this canvas.
You're painting a mural, and you have to decide what to do on this giant wall in New York City, right?
Yeah.
So one more thing I think you get from performing, and I haven't had too much experience on stage in front of people talking. I was in a play once, and I had one line, and it was the first line. And it was in Annie, Get Your Gun, and I had to run out and sing. I had to run out and yell Indians. So that was fun. But I haven't had too much time speaking in front of people. But I did grow up as a musician. I spent an enormous amount of time on stage playing drums, and so I think you get a version of that there. And I think what I take away from that, and what you probably have taken away from that, is just a comfortability in a landscape of chaos, because that's a really tough thing, and I find myself having to access that, and I find myself craving to be able to access that more, and I actually find myself wanting to put myself in positions where I don't have safety nets.
Oh, you would love riding a bike in New York City then.
Oh, great.
That's like the whole gig right there.
I'm not talking about getting hit by a taxi and your leg flying off.
No, but I mean being comfortable in chaos. It's like it's just a constant sea of chaos out there. Like not a trickle, not a little river. It's like waves crashing against the rocks.
Right.
Day. High tide.
Right. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you this: when you're riding out there, well, how many horrible accidents have you gotten in? How many times have you run into, collided with vehicles or buildings or children or woodland creatures, whatever's out there?
Little garden gnomes of New York.
Plenty of those.
Well, the thing is, since I met more people that are into action sports and skateboarding and things like that, like it's so funny how I would consider, like, if you consider like a crash on your bike or whatever, like they do that, they basically do what my recollection of like, oh, crash on my bike, they do that like 40 times a day.
Intentionally. Yes.
Like, oh yeah, on purpose.
Yeah.
So,
no,
having that in like retrospect.
Our friend John Hill, I'm sure Brett, our other friend, would describe this the same way. He described it as being in like a boxing match, and you're trying to you're trying to figure things out, but you're just getting punched in the face over and over. Like you're trying to do a trick, but you keep falling and your body keeps hitting the pavement over and over. And so that's why you see these skateboarders throw their skateboard across the county and break it in half, is because it elicits a response. You get punched in the face 50 times, you're going to throw something.
Seriously. Yeah. Like thick skin, man. Thick skin. So yeah, I would say that.
So have you ever been hit by a bus?
Oh God, no. And I don't ever want to be hit by a bus, because that's no. But I would say that like I was doored, which if no one knows what that is, like when you're in your little lane and someone just swings their car door open without even looking. And
then you accidentally go in a taxi and then you have to pay the fare.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that can, and it's actually really dangerous. Like you can definitely kill someone just from opening your door. It's like really, it's supposed to be illegal, but there's a lot of problems in New York with the police like not charging people properly because it's illegal. But anyway, yeah, I would say the worst one was actually from another cyclist. I would say basically it's like lasting damage, you know? So another cyclist actually hit me from behind on the West Side Highway, which is like supposed to be a very safe like bike lane. And I don't know what he was doing. He was like thinking of passing me, but wasn't like, if you're going to pass me on the West Side Highway, you better be moving, you know, like able to clear me in like a second. But, yeah, I guess he was just way too close to me, and I started to like turn to exit off the highway, and I had no idea he was there. And I don't know, maybe his brakes didn't work. I don't even know, because I'm putting myself in his position, like I would have been able to avoid that if I'm beside someone and they, you know, it's like a very easy thing to avoid. But yeah, he just careened right into the back of me. And I like did the scorpion, like flipped over. We both kind of tumbled in the air, flipped over. And yeah, at the time I was riding a steel bike, a very heavy steel bike. So the top tube actually like kind of got, like my leg kind of got wrapped into the frame. And so the top tube landed, like either I landed on the top tube or it landed on me. But it just resulted in this like slight dent in my thigh, which I hate. And it was a huge bruise and it healed fine. Like, but then there was this little dent left, and it actually makes me look like one of my quads is like more superhuman than the other. But yeah, everyone's like, oh, I can't see it. But for some reason, like I always just see it, and like it drives me crazy. But yeah, that's probably the worst.
Wow. So did anybody have to go to the hospital after this?
I mean, no, like he like left. My bike was all messed up. His was fine. He just like rode away. Like I sometimes the shock, you know, like I didn't, and I had jobs on me. I was working. So I was like concerned about that, talking to my boss, whatever. And like, so yeah, someone came to get me. But you know, I don't do hospital bills like that, 'cause, you know, this is America. So yeah,
you're like my wife. She's not going to go to the hospital unless her leg is like hanging off my skin.
Yeah, like almost severed. Yeah,
like no, that's fine. We got Gorilla Tape. That'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, you were talking about a short film. What's that short film about?
So it's a short film about female bike messengers in New York City. And it started out as like a mini documentary, but then I realized that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. And I had kind of a different way of saying what I wanted to say, and I wanted it to be a little more stylized. So I guess it would be like a stylized short, but it's not necessarily like a narrative. It's like a stylized documentary of sorts. Which I'm really happy with the way it came out. And the premise is just kind of like just a look into how significantly different a female bike messenger's day is from a male's day, just based on the fact that she's a woman and the things that she hears and things that how people regard her or like acknowledge her, you know, those things that like less than 5% of messengers in New York City are female. So some people never see a female bike messenger ever. Like the first time that they're seeing one is like when they're seeing me. So it's like we kind of get looked at like we're in a zoo for some reason, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was just exploring that concept and also just giving a chance for them to shine because just like cycling and messengers, like urban cycling culture is very heavy male dominated.
Mm.
So yeah, it was like, hey, we can shred too. So
Cool. Do you think it's male dominated because women choose that less?
I think, God, it's such a heavy. I would say yes. I mean, for me, it wasn't. I don't know. I grew up like on a farm, you know, doing physical labor, so that it was just easy for me. I just picked it up easily. It makes sense for me to do hard work for money, you know, like physical work.
Yeah. Physical work, yeah.
But I think it's just I think we grow up in this kind of sheltered. A lot of women grow up in like a sheltered kind of world where, you know, you have to present yourself a certain way and expect to be treated a certain way, and you know what you're capable of, what you're not capable of. It's kind of all like explained to us when we're very young, you know. So I think that I think that maybe it's just they just don't really think about it, you know. They're kind of just like nudged into this stream of like, okay, I'm gonna go work in a nice office, I'm gonna wear pretty dresses, I'm gonna, you know, I want to look a certain way. That those sort of things we're told that that's important. But as a messenger, you kind of like, I can't be worried about my appearance or like I'm like a smelly and sweaty all day. It's like, you know, I can't wear a nice sundress, like, you know. So
yeah, and I do wonder, and I spend a lot of time learning about culture and society and how the things that people believe about women in culture, men in culture, and politics, and all this stuff. And so I'm just curious because I think that I think some of it is that a lot of women just genuinely aren't necessarily interested in doing a very physical job, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman not wanting to work on an oil rig, and culture should not tell her that she has to do that. It should tell her that if she wants to, she absolutely can, and we support it, but shouldn't tell her that she has to do that. But I'm curious from your perspective. This is where I haven't spent enough time learning what it's like from your perspective as a girl, what the feelings are around doing something like being a bike messenger and what you sort of have to overcome.
Like as a woman, what you have to overcome?
Yeah, like or why it feels, or if it feels weird and why it feels weird.
I think well, yeah, I would say that like for women, like success in the workplace is also like heavily misogynized. So it's sort of like how successful you're going to be in your position. Like even from me, just like working as a waitress or as a bartender, like, you know, if I wanted to succeed, it's like I had to embody a very like feminine quality and had to present myself a certain way and had to like appease the men that I was working with, and you know, that sort of thing. So it's like right away that has no bearing on whether or not I will be good at my job or not, because I have to be fast, I have to be efficient, I have to be smart. So I kind of enjoy it, you know, like, well, I do enjoy it, obviously, I love it, but like it is good to know that I'm where I find value in my work is based on my performance and my work ethic and my discipline, and it's not based on me having to live up to a certain, like, you know, male standard of how I should be acting or how I should be coming across. You know, I don't even have to be nice. Like I don't have to walk into the messenger center of like, 390 Park and be like, hi, like, I'm just like, yo, I got this package, like, and I get a signature, I'm in a rush, like, and I find myself in the situations where I have to be a little more like assertive and that kind of thing. And yeah, I quite like it actually. I really like it for that reason, because I feel not to do with like the reception like I was talking about in the film, where I explore like other people's perception of a messenger, but just in my personal value. And like, because when I used to do bartending, whatever, it was like, okay, I went home with like a couple hundred cash, but I felt like a subservient, like, I don't know, peasant woman. Like, it just, yeah. So like, what's the cost?
Was that because you were working in a job where you were a server, or is it what about that made you feel subservient?
Yeah, I mean, just like it's mostly as a bartender, really, because people go, if a bartender is a woman, like there's a certain type of clientele
Mm-hmm.
that gathers, and you're making your tips based off your whole thing, your whole entity.
Yeah, I can imagine a bartender is a pretty weird spot can be a
Yeah.
pretty weird spot for a woman.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's great money.
Mm.
But like, I chose, it's definitely not as good money being a bike messenger, but I would choose it
Thank
over and over
God.
again. Yeah, no, like it's better money as a bartender. That's what I'm saying.
It's better
Yeah,
money as a
for
bartender.
sure. For
Oh.
sure. Yeah.
Well, what are you doing then?
Well, because I was so unhappy. Like,
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
wanted to pull my eyes out with the little like cleaner that you clean the bar with, but
Yeah, no, I think that well, it depends on the type of person you are. I think some people can tolerate it more, but I'm a person who I have no idea how to tolerate something that I'm not happy with. If I'm there for 5 days and I realize I'm not happy, it tears me apart.
Seriously.
And my first job was working at a production company, and I was editing videos for like commercials and this sort of thing. And they were talking about making me full time, and monetarily and on paper, it was the thing that I should have done. It made the most sense. But around that time, I was getting to the place where I was like, this is a nightmare, because I didn't like editing for clients who had too much creative control, just put it that way.
Right.
And they were allowed to have that control, and I couldn't do anything about it because it wasn't my company, right? So I realized at that point that I had this thought in my head, and I still have this thought in my head, that I would rather work at Starbucks, which I did, than edit videos that I fundamentally was unhappy editing. Because that's easier. It's literally less emotional commitment. It's less money, but it's less emotional commitment. And I can use that as what's the word? Not a landing strip, but a airstrip to launch into my next thing. That's the idea, right? So I totally understand. I would go the same direction. Money to me means very, very little in the big scheme of things.
Yeah. It's just about value. Like,
and it's like we have not that many years on this earth as people, and you can spend time with older people and maybe people in our families, this and that. You spend enough time with them, you realize what happens when you stay in a job that you hate because you felt like you had to stay there, and that you didn't sort of grind it out to get yourself to a place where you're happier. You got comfortable, right?
Yeah. And you start like living it's like you have a double life, right? It's like, I have to get through the Monday through Fridays and then have the weekend, whatever. But I'm like really excited for the week. Like on the weekends, I'm like, okay, I gotta like figure out what to do. You know,
That's
so
when
I
you're in a
just
good
like,
spot.
yeah, I don't just sit around all day. I have to plan things out. But I'm on the week during the week, I'm really content. Like it's like really content to wake up and go to work. You know.
Oh, that's good stuff. So many people, I think, never make it to that point.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. So I'm curious on a creative basis and on a from the perspective of creating YouTube videos and being a bike messenger and all the creative stuff that you're up to on a daily basis. What are some struggles you face in developing yourself?
I think just sort of figuring out where I'm gonna go because ultimately, like I do want to I want to establish a career for myself. Like I would love to find work in acting and filmmaking and more creative work, but
So that's your end goal.
it's sort of like what happens to the vlog, you know, like because if I'm people watch me because they like the bike messenger stuff, but if I'm not a bike messenger, then it doesn't really work, you know? But I guess I just enjoy it for now and see where it takes me, I guess. And I just always want to be expressing myself authentically throughout the way, whatever I'm doing. And yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like I have these ambitions, but I do really love my job. I guess I'm just grateful that I enjoy what I'm doing on the way. So it doesn't give me as much pressure to be like, oh, I have to get this audition. I have to make this thing. I have to, but it's like, well, I just, I'll just keep chipping away at it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, well, I think the good thing is that if you develop to a place where your audience is watching you more for acting, then that's only going to be, I think, as interesting, if not a more interesting facet of you than what you're already doing as a bike messenger. I don't know. I guess you're not trying to become a beekeeper. No, a beekeeper would be pretty interesting, right?
A beekeeper?
Yeah, something that's not as interesting as trying to be an actor.
I mean, that would be kind of interesting. I actually just watched a short documentary called The Beekeeper.
Oh.
And it was like so boring and tedious and mundane that it was fascinating. You know?
Okay.
But anyway, that's a whole different thing.
Just a guy walking around spraying bees with that stuff.
Yeah, well, he was incredibly old, like very old. Yeah. So like it'd just be these very long sustained shots of him like trying to scoop honey, but it was like his hands were so shaky and it was just incredible. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of drama there. It's like, will he stop it, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. That is an alternate route for sure. So okay, I want to.
I mean, I am vegan, so I'd probably want to like be a bee saver instead of a beekeeper, like a bee freedom fighter. But you know,
be a bee freedom fighter.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You could like have a cape. You could have your bike. Not too long that it gets caught in the wheel, I suppose. But
yeah.
You have a bike, and you have a samurai sword, and you're trying to. I don't know who the enemy of the bee is. All humans. You probably should kill all humans.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I don't know. So you have to think out who your villain is. Like
against the world, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Monsanto.
Okay. Or and you know, maybe you can come up with a villain that's like I am the bee destroyer. The bees killed my family, and
right. Just really has it out for bees.
Yeah. And then you can tie it all together with the bike and with YouTube. And I think we're onto something good here. You were mentioning that you were vegan. Why did you decide to do that?
I went vegan because why did I decide to do that? Well, I mean, I always wanted to be vegetarian, like ever since I was a kid, because I grew up on a farm, and I'm such a sensitive person, so I always was like, why are we eating them? It doesn't make any sense, you know. But where I'm from, it's pretty conservative, traditional, so it was like, just choke it down. Don't just like be a little like you need a tougher heart, you know. So yeah, but I always carried that sensitivity with me, always. And sometimes I hate it, but sometimes I like it because it employs me to like make choices such as that are really good for me going vegan. Yeah, so I was vegetarian for the longest time. Like once I finally like moved out and got myself settled, I was vegetarian, and then I think it was probably like YouTube actually. I was watching YouTube videos about vegans. Oh no, I was watching documentaries on Netflix about food, just food in general, and I was like, "Oh my God, the scenes with the like the cows and just like all the factory farming in this." So I started looking into it more, and then yeah, like a bunch of there was like this golden age of YouTube vegans. I don't know if you know, like were into that at all. Yeah,
I'm
it was
really
like
sad I missed that.
it was just like all of a sudden like just vegans on YouTube just blew up, and
I think it corresponded with a lot of documentaries coming out.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And it also was just social media in general was just connecting a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was also at a stage where like young women were getting a lot of, because of social media, like a lot of mixed messages on what they should look like, how they should be with, and then a lot of I think it was really young women that kind of pushed it forward, because then all of a sudden there are these social media figures saying like, don't starve yourself, eat as much as you want, but just like eat plants and you might feel great and like, you don't need a diet. So then it was like these like vegan role models started to pop up. But yeah, and then yeah, it was just something that made sense. It just became very easy. I never had like I always really enjoyed vegetables and fruits, and I was like, oh, I can just eat those all the time instead of like having to make room for something else on my plate, and then those, and I could just eat that. Okay, cool.
So it comes from a place of you just really enjoying vegetables.
Yeah, and just not having a problem. Like I don't need meat. I don't need, I don't feel the need for that. And also I feel like I was like having health problems that I honestly feel like they stemmed completely from just like overconsumption of dairy and this, like everything cleared up as soon as I ditched like dairy and everything. And I was like, I just felt, that's why I got a bike, because I was like, I feel like a warrior. Like, what am I going to do with myself? Because I just felt so much energy and vitality. And I was like, all right, I'm going to ride a bike now. And that's
I've tried to learn a little bit about nutrition lately and about veganism, and I do know that what seems to be very true is that what we do as Americans is we like to eat a lot of sugar and a lot of carbs and these things that cause inflammation on our bodies, and inflammation causes cancer and all sorts of horrible things. So it's like, I think we just live in this sort of comfortable world thinking everything's okay. Meanwhile, we're slowly poisoning ourselves. And so I think it's like, it's really good to get all that crap out of your diet. I'm sure that's some of what you felt. I've also heard that as a vegan, one of the struggles that you can have is not getting enough nutrients that you need. So how do you compensate for that? Over time. I mean, because it's like the idea is that you'll feel really good at the beginning, but over time, over years, you'll start to not get the nutrients that you need.
I mean, I've been vegan for 3 years now, and I never felt that I was lacking in anything or like didn't have energy, because I just always eat enough and eat enough of the right things. Like there's literally nothing you need in your diet that you can't get from plants. Like you just, maybe a B12 shot will help you, because they put B12 into like animal products, they shoot them with B12 and stuff. So that's like the only, B12 is really the only supplement you got to think about. But otherwise, like there's nothing that I'm lacking in. Like my blood test was like way better after I went vegan than after being vegan for like 2 years, I think. Yeah. Than when I was consuming animal products. So it's really, you just have to like eat enough, like eat lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, beans, tofu, every once in a while I'll take like a scoop of it, just because like if you're on the go in New York City and whatever, and sometimes you eat like crap. So I have
let's see. No, when I came there, I ate pretty well. I think, but
Well, if you go
the
to the
problem
South
is,
and stuff,
well,
it's okay.
the problem is, to your point, is I spent a crap ton of money. We spent
Right.
so much money. We were there for
Right.
like 3 days.
Food is like so expensive. But
Yeah.
I have this like concentrated greens powder, like, just like a nutritional powder. Take that. But yeah, no, I've always felt like I get everything I need.
Gotcha.
And
Cool.
I mean, if you look at it's surprising that people don't ask that to the everyday American. Like, how are you getting the nutrients you need? Because you have a diet consisting of like McDonald's and, steak and potatoes and just like crap all the time. No breakfast, just coffee, a donut. It's like, well, you're not even vegan, but you need to worry about your nutrients, So
yeah. Well, no, I worry about people's breakfast because I think in America, what we do, I love how we're going into a nutrition rant right now.
Right.
I think we've decided in America that breakfast is like dessert time. So we'll eat cereal and we'll eat pancakes and just a whole bunch of grease. And then we go to, I went to IHOP a while. I think it was one of those restaurants, IHOP-esque restaurant. And I don't eat food like that very often. It wasn't IHOP. It was in Moab, Utah, but I won't say the name because I don't want them to fail as a business. We're nice people, But the food came out and I ate it, and afterwards I felt like I was dying.
Yeah.
And but so many people eat that every day.
Every day.
And when you get to a place where you spend enough, you have spent enough time not taking in a lot of sugar and a lot of carbs, and I certainly have work to do, but I think I do better than a lot of people. And whenever you go back to that thing after, I don't know what, 5-6 months of not having it, and then you have it, your body goes, no, bad.
Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, I think that's why I think it's like, it's still pertinent to like what, it's a nutritional rant, I guess, but it still ties into your creativity, because how useful are you if you have no energy, if you can't piece your thoughts together because you're so like, you have the itis, whatever, like it, as your like your creative energy needs to come from a place of like physical and mental clarity. And that's
you're not feeding yourself. You're not feeding yourself the right things to have energy throughout the day that you need. And that's a big thing. Like, I think you'll hear stories of people who change their diet dramatically and go, oh, I don't have to, take a nap in the middle of the day. Oh, I don't like when, I don't know, the middle of the day comes around, I don't have to feel like I'm dying for an hour.
Right. I don't have to drink 4 cups of coffee to make it through the day.
Right. Even though I do love a good iced coffee.
Not knocking the coffee,
But so, well, I think coffee is what keeps me from like destroying my life with other addictions.
Right.
I'll take coffee all day long.
Very mild.
So yeah, I think that for me, what I'm learning, and this is actually in development for me right now, but I've been thinking about it today. I've been thinking about it a little bit, and a lot of times when things develop in your brain and you start to learn things that you want to do more of and directions you want to take with your life, it's sort of this really slow process, and then all of a sudden it comes to a point, and then you go, oh, I want to do that because of this, and it all makes sense now. But there's this haze of nonsense for a long time, and you just have a feeling. So I'm trying to do better with my diet overall, and I started to realize, like, when I can feel like I have dominance over what I'm eating on a daily basis, it makes me feel like it's just like making your bed in the morning. It makes you have dominance over the other areas of your life,
right?
Sort of automatically. And it gives you drive to pursue. So it's not just about kind of grinding through eating something that doesn't taste good to you so that you can know you won't die 10 years from now. It's a way to take control of every piece of your life very intentionally. Do you feel that way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because you can control like going to sleep on time,
Mhm.
uh, stretching, doing some yoga,
Mhm.
eating. Like these are all decisions that we either do or don't do on a daily basis. So it's like you have the power to do them all. So just like improve your quality of life. It's free.
And I think it all goes together and gives you creative energy, makes you feel
Yeah.
more in control. Cool. So I am. We dug a little bit into the bike thing, but I am curious. What does this look like on a daily basis for you when you get up and leave the house and ride your bike? I guess you go onto a train. No, do you still go onto a
Yeah.
train?
No, no, I ride because I live in Queens now, thankfully, so I can ride
Yeah.
to the city. Because before I lived in Jersey, I had to take a train.
You said
Um,
that people were not fans of you having the bike on the train.
mm-mm. Yeah, they looking at me, one person with the bicycle, as if it's my fault that the train is crowded. Not maybe it's not the fact that they don't run enough trains and everyone's trying to take the train at the same time. But yeah, that was fun. Anyway, yeah, I much prefer it to be like riding to work. Yeah, so I'd basically get up and um, drink some water, eat a banana, um, grab my bike, make sure everything's good, get the music going. That's a
Make
very
sure the
important.
wheels are on.
Yeah, yeah, make sure the pedals are there,
Mhm.
the chain, Uh, yeah, and then I just ride. It's really nice. Good way to wake up.
Mhm.
Really good way to wake
So
up.
when you're going to take places to places, to me, that I'm
Mhm.
completely confused about how this works. So do you work for a somebody who gives you the packages?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you have your dispatcher. So
Okay,
yeah,
dispatcher.
it's kind of like your boss, but not really. They're just relaying the message of like you're picking up this from here, you're taking it there. Then you're
Okay,
going here, you know what I mean? That's the only thing. It's like the only thing that they can tell me is where to be at what time.
okay. So you
But
you
no one
go
can tell you what to do, so
so you go to point A and take the thing to point B, and then you're on to your next one.
yeah.
How
Or sometimes it's like you go to point A, you take like 10 things, and then you go to point B, C, D, E,
okay.
and then
And
you go
so
to,
do you have to figure out, is there a lot of efficiency thinking involved in this?
yes, routing is huge. That's why alley cats that's where they come from because like I don't know if you know what an alley cat is, but it's like a simulated messenger race.
Okay.
And so basically, like a bunch of messengers get together on a Saturday or a Sunday to do the things that they usually do throughout the week, but without getting paid.
All right.
It's kind of
Good
fun.
plan.
Yeah, that's how much we love our job. We just do it on the weekend for free. But yeah, so it's basically like the race is not just like racing for speed, who's the fastest. It's who has the best routing. So you get your manifest, and you have instead of like picking up a package and whatever, it's your checkpoint. So this is your checkpoint. You go there, someone signs your manifest, you go to the next one, and you can usually it's any order, like because that's when your dispatcher doesn't tell you go here first and then go there and then go there. They just say you need to get all of these done by this time. So you have to figure it out. And it really just comes down to knowing the city. I mean, thankfully Manhattan's a grid, so very
Right. Right.
the longer you do it, the easier it gets. But you just have to be just efficient. Yeah.
hmm Is there a lot of physicality involved in it? Do you have to stay pretty fit, or do you automatically stay pretty fit?
Yeah, I think it's just a function of the job. Like even like sometimes you're delivering to like someone's house, so you got to walk up like 5 flights of stairs in a walk up apartment. It's not like a guaranteed elevator service. But yeah, like I mean, it's grueling. Like you have to be ready to be doing as like any number of miles per day, and also like sometimes you'll like they say it's a 10-pound box, but it's actually a 30-pound box.
Mm.
That kind of thing. Yeah, I think it's just a function of the job. It just makes you fit. Like, but also I feel like sometimes it's like tailored to the bike. Like I feel like if I went for a jog, I'd be like, okay, you know,
Yeah.
which is like I'm always thinking about that. I'm like, I got to do other stuff. Like I went hiking on the weekend because I was like, I need to cross train, you know.
Do you ever just get the urge to ride your bike around the house to the kitchen and like, 'cause that'd be easier, right?
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. You should just
You have to
your
skateboard.
house. You should create a house that is
You can
a bike
from-
house. It's the whole house is designed to be biked around.
Right.
And you can, oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Like everything would be like a little pod separated by like a big hallway. So you could like sprint really fast over here. And yeah, that'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm. Big bike lane, obstacles you have to avoid.
Yeah.
For fun, you know?
Yeah.
This is great. This is good.
Little ramps.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is, yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, how many packages do you deliver on a normal day, roughly? I know it's probably changes.
Yeah, it changes, but for the average messenger, I'd say like 30.
Okay. And that takes you how long?
That's within like an 8 to 9 hour workday.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And so you
some days you like, honestly, some days you do like, you feel like you did like 6 jobs because you had one all the way in like Queens, then you had to go to Brooklyn, and then like, you know what I mean? So, but they're obviously higher paying. So.
Yeah. So obviously, like with anything, there is a community, and I've been able to access some of that watching your videos. Mm-hmm. How would you describe the bicycling or a bicycle messenger beyond community?
Oh my gosh. So chaotic.
Chaotic. Okay.
It's just like a big playground. I mean, when you get a bunch of people together that experience a lot of freedom in their day-to-day life, like they ride a bike, you know, it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy. For me, sometimes I'm a bit of a lone wolf, you know. I like going to the events. I like getting together, like doing rides and whatever, but there's a lot of drinking. There's a lot, you know, so I'm not really a drinker, so I'm not always like into that. But yeah, I think for me, the sense of community is less about like the social life part of it and more about like the little like nod you get when you pass another messenger in the street. Mm-hmm, like the very like there's just a sense of like camaraderie. Yeah, the camaraderie. It's huge. Mm-hmm. It's huge. And yeah, you can spend the whole day alone, but you don't feel so alone because you know. Like
I remember when we spoke at the event, the oh crap, what was it? It was the pop-up shop.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you described yourself as a bit of an introvert, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So it's funny because you're very outgoing and friendly, open feeling person. I think that your introversion actually adds a lot of warmth to your personality. But how does that, well, so did you pick being a bike messenger partly because of that? Is it less social interaction?
It definitely appealed to me a lot. That part of it of just being like, I just get to put my head down and work, you know, and be with myself. And also because, I am a really like sensitive person and I have a lot of emotions. So I need a lot of like alone time to sort through them, or if I have things I'm thinking about or want to analyze something, it's like a gift to be able to spend time doing that because those kind of jobs where like catering or serving or whatever side jobs I did, you're constantly like people, conversation. And so it's so draining. And then it's like there's no room left for yourself and your own thoughts. And so I just knew right away that it would fit me for sure.
Yeah, working at Starbucks took so much out of me.
So much. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and whenever there would be times where I needed to go pick up something from another store. And so they'd be like, okay, we'll track your miles, go out to the other store, pick up the straws, come back. And whenever that happened, I was secretly in the background, like, please send me. Yeah. And whenever I left, it was the best part of my day, just driving in silence. It was like,
right. Oh, it's amazing.
So
Yeah.
I think there's half of the population that can resonate with that and go, yes, that's the greatest thing. And then half of them go, no, I like people, and I am very depressed when I don't have people around all the time. And so it's an interesting art trying to learn how to navigate that as an introverted type.
Well, that's why YouTube works so well, because you spend a lot of time around people, filming and shooting your vlog, and then you get to go into your little cave and edit it. And it's like a nice little reward.
Yeah. Well, and for me, what's important is that I get to choose when I have my social interactions, not that it's thrust upon me by my job every single day.
Exactly.
Like, I want my social interactions to be intentional and thought. Now, the downfall with this is that I can spend 8 days in my apartment, not talk to anybody.
Me too.
At the end of that, I'm going, I feel really bad, but I won't leave the house because it's so much effort. I'm like,
it's a lot.
I should probably talk to somebody.
Yeah, like you have to like walk through the portal to the outside world, and sometimes it's just like it just feels like so heavy.
Right. And then it's like, what will happen to me is I'll stay in the house for a few days, then I'll go try to order a cup of coffee and realize I haven't said anything.
You have no voice.
And then like you go to talk and you're like, Grande, guys, God. It's bad.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, it feels mechanical and strenuous. And so this is why these conversations are really nice for me, because
true, because you don't even have to leave your house.
Yeah, well, it's conversations that I'm really interested in, because I like to have conversations about things that go below the surface and sort of philosophical. And I've learned how much I need that. I think a lot of introverts need that to be healthy.
Yeah, that's what I always struggle with, because I have always found it hard to like belong in a particular group, but like the longing for a group that reflects all of that is so strong, but it's so hard to find. It's like so hard to find. So sometimes I just withdraw anyway, because I'm like, oh, well, it's too hard.
Yeah. Well, I think the best route for somebody who is an introvert is, for one, put in one of the strengths that people like us have is we think about our social interactions because they mean a lot to us. Yeah. And so you're naturally going to want to develop yourself to be a good friend and be somebody that somebody would want to be a friend to. And I've always said that if you want to make a friend, the best way to do that is to be somebody would want to be a friend to.
Yeah.
Right. And instead of focusing on what's wrong with me, making yourself into somebody that somebody would be attracted to and that they would want. Same thing with a romantic relationship, what have you. Or you can just bypass all that and get a cat. But
I mean, yeah,
that's an option. But this always happens in the middle of it. I forget where I'm going with this. It was good. So if you're trying as an introvert, if you're trying to build like relationships with people, a good place to start is finding a thing that you're interested in and like figuring out a way to get into that community.
Yeah, that's why I like the bike, because it forces me to get out there. Yeah. Right. And then it's so easy to find like-minded people at times because it's just already there.
And then you'll find weird magical alignments, and you'll start to find people that, you also are just as weird as I am.
Right.
We're both incredibly strange, and that's okay. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit more about your studying acting and being in acting school and this sort of thing. What got you interested in it in the first place?
I was in school, in middle school, and I think I always was, like when you grow up on a farm, you're like bored a lot. So you sing in your bedroom, you go out and like sing to the horses, or like, so I was always
you can only ride the goat so many times.
Yeah. So, and I was always like making little plays in the backyard, and like, so yeah, I think it just always came naturally, and then it was like, okay, drama club.
Mm.
And the drama kids, like, were you ever in a drama club?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, but like
I
the
think I
theater
think it's a
kids,
really interesting thing, but I've never done it.
yeah. No, the theater kids are like, I would choose them anytime over, like, oh man, just the best. Like,
Hmm.
I would go to drama class and we would just like have fun. Like, all
Hmm.
your other classes are so like strict and whatever, but then I'd go to drama class and we just have fun for 90 minutes and it was the best. Like, we just laugh and, it was amazing. Yeah, and
Hmm.
and it was also at the time when I, my particular like age would start to get cell phones. Our parents would give us cell phones.
Hmm.
And then you're like obsessed with it because it's this little thing that's your connection to everything and everyone. But when so I would always be like on it, right? Because texting was like the thing. But then when I was at like a drama rehearsal or like a, play practice, like I just completely forgot about the phone.
Put it away.
And
Yeah, yeah.
so focused and like again, community. Like, it's not just about putting on the play and doing the play well. It's about like all the moments you have backstage and the inside jokes and the way you look out for each other and little family that arises.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was just like very natural for me to follow that past high school.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, one thing I've noticed about people who have spent time in a place like a drama class or learning how to act in any capacity is that they learn how to be incredibly expressive.
Mm-hmm.
That you learn how to talk and you learn how to express yourself and how it comes off and what that
Mm-hmm.
means. And I love people like that. I love people who know how to articulate and express and communicate. And I'm fascinated by that. I think you get the same thing from like, I feel like my white balance is freaking out. It's like I'm in some sort of igloo right now. I don't know what's happening, but I like it. Why not? I will just pretend I'm in Canada.
Okay.
So oh, look, a moose. So I think there's like, oh yeah, like an improv class is something where there's no safety net. You have to learn how to like put a joke together and how to and like read people and and all of these things are incredibly important no matter what you do, I think.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
be quick thinking.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's hard. It's really hard. You just have to learn how to live outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's a good way to sum up the value of something like that.
Yeah.
Learning how to continually in like a habitual way put yourself outside of your comfort zone and be okay with that.
Yeah, one of my teachers always said, be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's like that's your mode from now on.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What's something that you learned from acting school that you use on a daily basis?
Oh gosh.
Is it just all intermeshed
Yeah,
within your soul?
it just becomes like in your cells. Just like feeling your feelings, because if you don't, they'll inhibit you from one, playing a character, but also like, being present in your life.
Mm.
Gosh, so many things. Just letting life teach you and not feeling like you have to be doing something all the time in order to succeed at something, or because we spend so many hours and hours in like this class and voice class and movement and this and drilling this and getting this into our bodies, and then your teachers at the end, towards the end of the school, would be like, all right, just forget everything. just like let it all go. And like, if you want to work on your acting, just go to the park.
So it's almost like once you learn how to find that within you, it was like, forget the rules.
Yeah.
That's
like,
very interesting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When you see the great actors doing what they do, that's what they're doing. They, you have to, I think like discipline. I learned so much discipline. Like, you have to drill in those technicalities so that they're just like in your muscle memory, and then that way you just don't think about them. You just let them go.
You articulate it as it being in your body, and I think that's a beautiful way to put it.
Oh yeah, acting everything. That's what, like you walk in. Oh, you never want to walk into a room full of actors like halfway through the class because they'll be like rolling on the floor and like like God, they're so weird.
How did you get on the ceiling, Jim?
I'm just feeling it.
I'm just feeling the
yeah,
I'm feeling that I can fly and it's in my body, so I'm actually flying.
I mean, we kind of, with school and desks and things, we kind of start to think that we exist from here up, but everything is like a psychophysical operation and being in tune. A lot of people walk around without being like in the term actors use, like in their body, like, be in your body. It's very important,
Now, is that used as opposed to being in your mind?
Yeah, like in your head. Yeah.
So it's like you get down, you bring it back down into your body.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I was watching. Have you ever heard of Nerdwriter?
Yeah.
YouTube creator. Okay.
Yeah.
So I love his videos. I think they're beautiful. They're
like the essays.
Yeah, beautiful video essays about things, and he's wonderfully articulate. But he did one about the acting of Jack Nicholson. And do you know that? I assume you know who that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I didn't see that.
Okay. So the video was specifically about his expressions of anger and how many different expressions of, I'll send it to you after this.
Okay.
How many different expressions of anger he has formulated in himself over the years as an actor through different roles, and how it's all expressed from a different, like how it's grounded, because anger is never grounded in anger, it's grounded in something else, and anger is it's the expression, right? Fear is the expression, and so he was saying that he's able to create the foundations in all these different places according to each different role he's playing and what his character is, and that anger is expressed sort of differently in every single one, but a lot of it is very dramatic and extreme. Like he's, so anger management is a good example of a movie where he was literally an anger management coach, or whatever you want to call him. And there were parts where like he'd throw a plate at the wall and freak out, but he almost seems maniacal, but it's very calculated. It's very well done. And I thought it was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, because you have to be not in control, but you have to be aware of the choices you're making. Yeah.
So I feel like the reason I say this is because I think about, I spend my time studying. And when I say studying, I mean watching for hours and hours on end all day long. People communicate, people who are good storytellers. And I really enjoy that. And I think it's very similar to acting in a lot of ways. And so I think the struggle is to figure out how to get into your body and not be too much in your head while your body's trying to get into your head. But so like be present and be sort of free, but at the same time be aware of what the heck you're doing. Like I feel like that's a weird balance that you always have to work to strike better.
Well, I wouldn't say if it's like better, but like towards the direction of better, because there's if you're seeking some sort of end goal, it's gonna inhibit you from being like completely open. And it's just, there's a thing that we studied called Alexander, the Alexander technique.
Yes, the Alexander technique. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I know much of those teachings.
You do?
But please carry on so that I can learn more. Because I don't actually know what you're talking about. How'd you go in there for a second there?
Okay.
My dad, the other day, my dad said to my wife, my dad likes to make a lot of dad jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Christina, did you know that they took the word gullible out of the dictionary?
She was like,
wait, hold on, what? Why would they do that? It's such a useful word.
Yeah, that's funny.
Anyway, okay, so the Alexander technique.
Yeah, just based on like the alignment of our spine and how it relates to like every single thing that we do.
Whoa.
And how it starts like like 5 years old, once you put a child in a desk, you start to compress their spine, and it's like and there's also like this natural curvature to the spine that we perceive as like this. So then when we do think, oh, okay, I need to sit up, it's just like a board as opposed to like,
you're trying to be a 2x4.
Yeah. So it's focusing on this like sense of like upward motion and like living, and so it's kind of funny because how you position your body in space will affect your mind and your thoughts, and like how like they do Alexander like teachings for like CEOs of big companies, because when they give a presentation, they have to come across in a way that's like they have to command the room. And a lot of times we feel like we're scared of ourselves, that we might be too powerful, so we collapse, and when you're on a stage, you obviously have to like harness everything that you have. So but at the same time, you use that to your advantage when you're creating a character, you're adjusting things as to what a character would be, that if you need to be in a certain frame of mind that character is in, you're going to make choices in your body that reflect, you know what I mean? So it's all about how like the mind and body work together. And once you shut off those lines of communication, it's like really hard to be an open communicating individual. So yeah, it's all about how those work together, which is again, like bringing it back to like why I choose to use my body for work. It's like just the body in motion,
Yeah. And I think, so what happens is that when your brain tells you I'm confident, your body will naturally express itself as confident.
Or even if you adopt the
posture.
Then
that's what I was gonna say, is it goes back and forth.
Exactly.
So, your brain will tell you to be confident when you're in a place where you're naturally confident. But if you're not naturally confident and you take on a posture of confidence, it will tell your brain that to be more confident.
Yeah.
And so I learned that, and I thought, well, first off, I thought that makes perfect sense, because I have always felt that way, but I heard somebody articulate it, and I went, I think that's dead on. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that it's an important technique to learn, to be able to open your body up and project, and also what you project to other people, right? That you project that you are an open and brave person. You're not a hermit turtle thing, scrunched up.
Like, don't hurt me. Like even I like in a class, I had a teacher like that. You sort of, as an actor, you want to get to a space of neutral so that you can strip it, because we all have our own like individual habits and like little tics that you have to identify exactly what they are so that you can strip them away, place something else on that fits your character or whatever you're doing. So that was a big thing in acting school, is like identifying what those are. And I found that because again, like we were saying, I'm a very patient, sort of pleasant person, but sometimes that has like led me astray in life, and sort of just dealing with people that think that I'm weak or whatever.
Maybe not assertive, and that you're agreeable, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's just that I'll put up with anything, which sometimes I do. And I've had to learn, when to say no, and, So like she identified for me as a very particular, like, just like a tilt of the head. And she's like, we see it, it's common in young women where it's sort of like exposing your jugular, which is like, it's like, don't hurt me, like I'm vulnerable,
Okay.
And it's so funny because when I have the GoPro on my head, if I'm riding the bike, like the footage later will be like
sideways.
Yeah. So I have to be very conscious of like where I'm placing my head, because I have that habitual, just little tilt, just to be like, oh, I'm not, it's supposed to, if I come at someone straight on, it's obviously going to be more assertive, So just little things that you learn about yourself through acting that are really valuable.
I also learned that when you're talking to somebody, I do this. What's hard is actually working this into your daily routines of life.
Yeah.
There's some things that you really have to sort of think about it. Normally when you think about it, it doesn't work. It's like you're trying to think your way into doing it over and over. So you have to find a sort of a pathway to get yourself to do it correctly. But I do this all the time. I've learned that if you want to present yourself as a more friendly and open person, we can talk to people like this, and we can do sort of this number. And for anybody who's listening in audio, I'm sort of like, I have my palms pointing down. It's sort of like a pointing thing. It's if I'm expressing something, and what you can do is you can flip your hands over and you expose your palms.
Right.
And when people, we're both holding up our palms extremely awkward. Could you imagine having a conversation like this?
Oh, you know what? Actually, that's so funny because we had the director of the Royal Shakespeare Theatre Company, Royal Shakespeare Company in London actually came and gave a master class, and he was like, because this is a default thing that actors do when they are trying to convey a sense of like dominance or fight in a scene, but they haven't quite gotten it yet. So this comes up, and he's like,
they put their hands up, their palms.
He's like, I call this the old scones. Like, I said, does anyone want some old scones? Like, but you're not offering scones. You're trying to get your point across. So like,
Yeah. So that's amazing.
Yeah, because it does give a sense of like a little more wholesome sort of like giving nature than if you're,
Well, and it's a subconscious, like even if the person's not engaging with that consciously, like in a conversation, say you're at a coffee shop or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a subconscious gesture that their brain responds to of you exposing your palms to them. So I talk a lot with my hands, and what I try to do and what I feel like I do is a lot of this, where I'm sort of dishing it out almost with my hands, but my palms are up. Now, sometimes I'll kind of put them down too, and then I think about it. Well, the point is that you think about it and go, okay, what should my hands be doing right now? Because sometimes it's a good idea to flip them over, like especially if you're acting and you're trying to be assertive and whatever, that you need to be aware of that. But all of those things play in Another thing that I learned is that if you mirror people, and I've only this one takes so much thought for me that it's really hard to do. But when you're talking to people, what you naturally do is you will mirror their motions. So if you go to, the idea is that if you go to a bar or something, and you watch two people interact, and maybe they're trying to end up being a romantic partner, or maybe they're just friends or whatever. When you watch them interact, their body motions will mirror each other. So like one crosses a leg, the other crosses a leg, one puts their hand up on their face, the other one will do the same thing sort of naturally. And what the idea is that what you can do is do this intentionally in an attempt to establish like rapport with people. And that if you do this, they will subconsciously respond to that and go, this person's all right. And it also works with your voice, where if a person's like in New York, you get a lot more, assertive people and people who are willing to say things pretty bluntly, and just in most urban environments. And so if you project that back to them, they'll go, all right,
Yeah.
But if you do the opposite, they're like, oh, this guy's like a weak little person that I could break or whatever. But if the person is more calm and agreeable and kind of like relaxed and I guess patient was the word you use, just kind of just very, I'm just trying to have a nice little coffee and a conversation. If you come down to their level and be with them on that, we do this naturally, but if you do it intentionally, it's a good way to get somebody to be like, oh, this person's all right.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty neat. But I think it's so cool that as an actor, you really have to be aware of all that stuff.
You do. You definitely do.
Yeah. So what were some of the challenges you had to overcome on a sort of a deep level in acting and acting school?
I'm really dark now, by the way. I hope that's okay. It's
That's
like,
quite all right. Your face is lit
um,
well. It looks good.
okay.
It looks like
I
we're
have my
going.
little
If
lamp
if you
here.
want to go to like a deeper emotional place now, the lighting would really
Yeah.
fit well.
I think the hardest thing is just like is just the the inevitable um disappointment that comes with having to face the industry.
Mm,
And something that you study for so many years is such a beautiful art, and then you realize that it's not sustainable to approach it the same way, but also attempt to have a career. It's just like there's a lot of, it's so hard, it's so competitive,
yeah.
and the industry is so cutthroat. And yeah, it's just like, it's not fun to be like, oh, like acting makes me feel so alive and I learned so many things in school. It was so beautiful. And then you come out and think that it's going to carry on
Mm,
into your pursuit into a career, and it doesn't. For some people it does, if you have like the money for it or the parents, the connections, but
mm, mm.
it's just it's kind of heartbreaking, but the nice thing is you can be an actor at any age. That's what I always tell myself. So
Well, and I think every creative industry tends to be that way, where it's like there's a clear division. There's a
yeah.
giant Berlin Wall between the art and the pure just enjoyment and bliss that you get from engaging in the art form in the way that means something to you, where you feel like you're doing something meaningful, and
Hmm.
you feel like you're alive. You find yourself in these flow states where you just everything goes away and you're just having a really good time, and you put your phone down, right?
Yeah.
And there's a wall between that and the business of getting, well, the business of becoming that in a bigger sense, and also the ability to get to the place where you can do that on stage in a more substantial way, or in a movie in a more
Mm.
substantial way. You have to go through all this nonsense to get there. And I think that's like in video, like in freelance video world and photography is very
Yeah.
so there's like, what, five types of photography that do really well, and a couple of
Right.
them that do really, really well. And the thing with photographers that they struggle with is that you end up picking, no matter what type of photography you're in, you end up picking from like three or four types to make your money.
Right.
And it's wedding or food or product or whatever. But like for me, I don't fit into that, and luckily I have no intentions of trying to fit into that, because I'm into street photography. I'm into wandering around the streets and taking photos of interesting people and having sort
Yeah.
of no rules around that. And it's like, so it's like you have to find a way to do both of those, find a way to make the business side of something work, something that you can, where you actually enjoy it in a certain way, and do that alongside the pure art form. Like the both have to happen simultaneously, or else
Hmm.
something will go horribly wrong.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of today's young actors go towards like making their own work, doing short films, doing little web series or whatever, because yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to give yourself something.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what's your, like, what would be a dream for you in the acting world?
Ooh,
I like this
so-
one. You lit up on that one.
yeah, no, basically like riding a bike.
Riding a
Do
bike
you
in a
know
movie?
the skateboard girls from New York City called the Skate Kitchen? It's like these group of skateboarders.
No, I
Um,
know of some New York City skateboarders that are girls, maybe one or two.
like, do you know
I,
Rochelle Vinberg?
I've
She's
probably
been
seen I've
in
probably seen her at this point.
she's been in Brett's videos because he sponsors her through his
Okay.
company. And I feel like
I
I
think
think
I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
She liked to wear like more
glasses.
baggy clothes and like
Yeah,
glasses. Yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
know what you're
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, so she is actually like she's gonna be an actress. Like she's on like a really good path.
Yeah.
And because this director, actually the director of Wolfpack, you ever seen it? Her name is Crystal Mosdell.
Okay.
Met a bunch of these skater girls. I think it was like she met them on the subway or something, and she was like, "Who are you?" Because it's like just this like herd of 10 girls with skateboards and colorful clothing and really cool hair and just like so well expressed, but they're all like 16 and like so it's like between 16 and 20, you know? And yeah, so she made a movie and it just like exploded.
Wow.
And yeah, like I hope all their careers take off and they get to do everything they want to do. But basically, I think it would be so cool for me to have that sort of like introductory role and to have it centered around the bike, you know, like because that film is all about skateboarding, and I feel like we can get one about cycling, urban cycling, you know. But yeah, I that would be really cool for me to be able to blend all of that because it's sort of like I always feel like I'm excited for like I feel like the really good meaty roles are for like when you're like a middle-aged woman like playing like the mom or like the teacher or the businesswoman or the you know like those really gritty roles at my age range they're so awful like
Well, I can imagine it's a weird industry for young women acting.
And I don't really fit into a lot of the roles or it's just like there's no substance there, you know. And so yeah, I would really like to be able to like just use my my action, you know, adventure, my sense of action and adventure, those kind of roles while I'm young, and then probably, you know, get in like I you know, on the stage and things, but like in Shakespeare and yeah, there's a lot of like dream roles that I have, but you know, who knows? You can never really decide where you're gonna go, but yeah.
I hope that you end up in a movie that does well, and hopefully it ends up winning an award at the Sundance Film Festival so that you can come to Utah and see us.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We're trying to get you over here so you can ride up one of these canyons and be like these freaking mad people who decide to ride up an entire canyon.
I want to do that.
Well, I can imagine down's fun.
I mean, yeah.
No, it's really cool. You'll love it because it's beautiful. So anytime you want to come here.
Yeah, I look forward to it. It's so beautiful there. I've never been to Utah, so.
I think people don't know what Salt Lake City is because I think that they've never really seen what it looks like. So, okay, most of Utah is nothing, right? And it's beautiful landscapes. You go down to the south part, you get the deserts, and Moab is one of my favorite places in the world, just like red rock, like 900-foot tall cliffs and stuff.
Wow.
And then, but the Salt Lake Valley, where I live, you have Salt Lake City, and then of course you have the Salt Lake, is very developed. It's like a medium-sized city, and it's like a really nice place. There are a lot of people here, but it's not too much that the traffic's ridiculous. That you can actually park downtown. I've learned that West Coast cities, in general, are just better than East Coast cities, with the exception of New York, because New York's pretty amazing. But like Atlanta is like a dumpster fire. But here it's just like it's so open. It feels so nice. The air feels great.
Yeah, I remember that there was one video where you guys were playing in the snow, like, and there were a bunch of houses and like people's houses and community, and then like all of a sudden just like a bunch of snow, just like a bunch of area.
Yeah, nothingness.
Like,
yeah,
you could just go play there, like
right.
So cool.
Right, and I live about 10 minutes from a canyon, like the mouth of a canyon.
Wow.
And you could just take a stroll up there and wander around, and beautiful. But I think people like get scared away because I think when people think of Utah, they're like, oh, Utah, it's like Wyoming or something. There's nothing there. But this part is developed. It's a really nice little city.
Right.
Anyway,
awesome.
I'm trying to convince all of my friends to come here.
I will probably come and not want to leave. I'll just probably ride my bike every day up the mountain and like.
That's okay too.
happy and just so content.
I don't know if there's a lot of bike messenger jobs, maybe downtown.
Probably.
Yeah.
But if there isn't, you can always make one, you know?
There's like, I always
Like
see.
if you have no messengers and you're the one messenger, you're going to get all the work.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You're killing it.
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah. So,
Millions of dollars. I always see, I think there are though, I always see people riding around on bikes that look like they're carrying a package. And then of course you see like the Jimmy John's people riding around.
right.
With their stuff. So it's, you know, it's here a little bit, and maybe you can take it to a whole nother level. You can just change the bike messenger industry for Utah.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. So the last thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you hope somebody takes away from watching one of your videos or just interacting with you?
I think just being able to relate to me on a personal level and knowing that themselves as they are is awesome. Like that they don't have to, that I'm not something like above them or more this or more that than them, that all of the qualities I have reflect onto them and they have them too, and they have the capability to do whatever they want, and that they're just awesome, you know, because that's the only thing that, like, you know, I try to be the person, like, for myself that I would want to be for other people, you know, like in terms of how I like treat myself and talk to myself, and you know, sometimes it's hard, it's weird, like it's so easy for me to support other people and encourage them, but sometimes it's hard to do it to ourselves. But I think that like knowing that we all struggle with that and just being open and with what, this is a really long-winded answer, but I guess just to convey a sense of like humanity and for them to be able to like receive it and acknowledge it and feel empowered in themselves in that too. It's just important to me, I think.
Well, what I will say that you do well is you make people who watch you want to, so you make them want to not worry so much about, like, be a bit more carefree.
Yeah.
I think you certainly present that well. And I think that, and I'll give you a very specific example of this. When there was a video you did recently where you were making coffee and you were saying that you normally make tea and you were trying to make some sort of latte or some coffee contraption. And there was a point where you were just like, you're explaining what you're doing. And then you're like, and then you try to refer to, I think an espresso machine is what you were trying to like come up with a word for. And then you're like, I don't know, coffee machine, latte machine, whatever. And then you just moved on. And so there's this like carefree, it's like, I don't care if I got it right. It doesn't really matter that much. It's really nice because in our heads, we get so caught up in trying to do the thing the ideal way and perfectionism. And to hear somebody just sort of feel comfortable about expressing themselves, and it's something that we don't think about on a daily basis because we just kind of do life. Yeah. But that is so incredibly powerful, and I think you do that well.
Thank you.
You bet. You bet. Okay, very good. I think it's a good place to wrap up. I will link below to your things. I would love to hear your thoughts, everybody. Thank you again, Kelsey.
Thank you so much. I feel it was a very invigorating chat. It was nice for me to like revisit and rehash all of the things that I've learned along the way.
Excellent. I'm glad.
And learn some new things from you as well.
Oh, I'm glad that I provided you such an opportunity. Okay. Have a lovely day, everyone. Thank you so much. Goodbye.